hardcore college basketball bettors, they might get involved with this. Green Bay would appear to have some favorable scheduling dynamics as they take on Little Texas Southern. But Texas Southern has been upsetting the apple cart with those scheduling dynamics so far. They've been playing all these games on the road, and they don't care. They just keep winning.
Yeah, Dave, and this is one where you know more about the Texas Southern team than I do. Wisconsin Green Bay out of the Horizon Conference, they're a team. They're going to want to go up-tempo.
Yeah, and Texas Southern won't mind that.
And the total shows that tonight, if you looked at the total. For me, looking at the two teams, I think that's the way this game's going to go. I don't want to lay the number with Wisconsin Green Bay. I just don't trust them. But I'm looking at the tempo of the two teams, and neither team plays, really stout defense. I like this one over the total, and you're looking at a number that was, last I saw it was like 175 and a half, 176. So go ahead, take this one over. You generally don't see a number that high in college basketball. It's there for a reason.
And the other game, well, one team definitely wants it to be up-tempo, and that's Marshall. For those who might not be aware, they're coached by a guy named D'Antoni. Yep, that's his brother. And like his brother, he likes to get up and down the court. So Marshall wants a high-scoring, run it up and down as fast as you can type of game. Hampton will probably try and slow things down a bit because obviously that would be their best shot. Game in Huntington, West Virginia. And the good news here is I think they will have a little better crowd support in this one because they even though they've been at home, spring break, there was like no students there. So some of them might be back now.
Yeah, and this is when spring break, when you go to a West Virginia school, you definitely go away for spring break. You're not. There's not a lot to do in West Virginia.
There's no beaches in West Virginia, and they're like college kids any place else. Let's go where the beaches are.
Right. And there's not a lot of anything in West Virginia. Let me tell you.
I have never been in West Virginia.
I have been. There's not a lot in West Virginia. Country roads, take me home. That's about it. But this one, Dave, and as you said, another one. Look at the total on this one. Another one in the 170 range. Dave, Hampton, can they play with Marshall? I have not seen Hampton play, and I know you watch all of these smaller conferences. You like to watch.
They got a nice team. Marshall is really inconsistent. Marshall's the kind of team I just threw off my schedule a while back because if they're shooting the ball well, they're going to win, and if they're not going to win. They're a one-trick pony, so to speak. If they get it up and down, and they're making shots, they're going to win the basketball game. But your guess is as good as mine as to what's going to happen on any particular night. I kind of want to see Marshall and Green Bay in the finals because that will be complete racehorse basketball, and if nothing else, it'll be fun to watch.
And that's for this conference, that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
You want to see a high scoring because being the lesser of the conference, who's going to tune in to watch a 60-58 game?
Not at this level.
No.
If it's a Final Four game,
yeah,
and you might get that with Texas Tech and Michigan State, that can be incredibly tense. But in a smaller tournament, come on, let's play.
We want the offense and go for it. Marshall's been not only winning straight up, Dave, they are covering the spread. They've covered 8 of their last 10 there.
And that was following a streak where they had been awful. They couldn't win it against anybody, but they have put it together.
They have put it together at the end of the season. Difference in conference. For me, Dave, this is judging that Hampton conference that they come out of. Can they play with Marshall if they go up and down the floor?
I'll say yeah, because it's not like Conference USA is any bargain either. It's not a very good league.
I would feel more confident in a slower game. But whenever you got two teams that are going to go at the same pace, and one, you would presumably think, again, not a lot, but a little bit better of a conference, I would lean slightly to the home side, Marshall, in this one for me tonight.
I believe this is the first in-season trade in Major League Baseball. The Giants have made a deal today, sending a few guys to Toronto for center fielder Kevin Pillar. And I would doubt that Pillar is available tonight. Excuse me, for the Giants as they take on the Dodgers, but the Giants picking up an everyday center fielder, which I think is a plus for them. They're trying to do something in Bochy's last season. I don't know that it's going to make that big of a difference, but we'll see what happens. Giants get a win last night against the Dodgers, and they did it against the Dodger bullpen. What has happened here? The Dodgers have to be wondering about, does Joe Kelly still think he's trying to beat the Dodgers? He's on the Dodgers now.
No, yep.
Kelly was so good against them in the World Series, and he has been horrific out of the gate. Urias was great last night. for the Dodgers, but after he left, the bullpen fell apart. Giants will try and make it 2 in a row tonight. Madison Bumgarner and Ryu on the mound, so good matchup of lefties.
And how about the first outing for Bumgarner? You know, we've talked about
solid.
him. You know, he's had injury problems the last couple of years, wondered if this is a spot where, you know, they use him as bait at the trade deadline, you know, whenever they come, if they're not in contention, which everybody figures they won't be. Great first start. 7 innings, Dave. Gave up 2 runs, just 5 hits, struck out 9. That's what impressed me the most with him is when he's getting the strikeouts, he is one of the best in baseball. And Ryu is a guy that, you know, for the Dodgers, he's been solid at times, and then at the end of the season last year, he tailed off. But first start, 6 innings, 1 run, and he struck out 8 in his debut. No walks, complete control in that game. This is a good pitching matchup. You would think the Dodgers to bounce back after the loss, but with Bumgarner on the mound, if he can keep them in this game and the way that bullpen is, I can't lay that big price with the Dodgers.
Angels and Mariners. My under wins prop on Mariners, not exactly off to a good start. 7-1.
5-1. 6-1. 6-1.
Excuse me. They've never been 7-1 before. They might be shortly. The Angels are off to a bad start. In fact, if they lose tonight, it'll be their worst start since their expansion year of 1961. And the problem is very simple. They've got one guy who can hit, and that's pretty much it. And we know who that is. It's Mike Trout. I mean, Pujols has had a few hits, Simmons, but this is a bad lineup right now.
It is. Dave, ask you a quick question for handicapping. This is a couple of years now in a row that we had those games in Japan.
Yeah.
And Oakland and Seattle, both are off to good starts. Do you think them having meaningful games a week before the other teams actually helps them? Because in theory, you would think that's, you know, you got to travel all the way to Japan and come back.
They came back and actually played exhibition games when they came back.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it put them right into, you know, season form a little quicker than the other ones because both teams off to great starts, and you can't be any hotter than Seattle out of the gate. They are just smacking the lights out of the baseball.
Tim Beckham is going absolutely berserk. You don't want to hear something weird. How's this? Now, Beckham, who was a number 1 overall pick years ago and never really lived up to billing, he now has had 2 American League Player of the Week awards. One was last year, right after he got traded to Baltimore, immediately following the trade. And the other one's this year, where he's playing his first week with a brand new team, the Seattle Mariners. This guy should get traded every week. He could be an MVP. Now, Beckham's been fantastic. They're just on fire right now. I mean, I still think there's questions of this team, and I don't think this is going to last, but they're not a team I want to get in the way of right now.
And it's not a team I want to play an under with right now. I think the way to go is to ride the overs. Cahill and Gonzalez, neither one was dominant in their first start. Gonzalez, 5 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits.
He's actually 2-0 already.
Oh, true.
How about that?
Yeah, 2-0.
Which tells you wins are overrated.
Wins are overrated, yeah. And Dave, in 11 1/3 innings, he's given up 16 hits, 2 walks. So he's had 18 base runners in 11 1/3 innings, and he's 2-0. Yeah, that tells you he's getting a lot of support. To me, it's over in this one.
There you go. All right, that's gets you up to speed on some of tonight's stuff. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Texas and TCU, a little bit of a rivalry matchup in one of the NIT semifinal matchups. It's our Wager Talk marquee matchup next.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
If you've got a piece of jewelry that needs repair, what do? Go see Cliff Miller at MJ Christensen, and they can do the repairs.
Absolutely. Since 1939, where does Las Vegas go to have their treasures repaired and maintained? MJ Christensen Diamonds. We take care of everything. I love that because you come to me with a problem and you leave problem solved.
MJ Christensen, something special for the love of your life. Located at Boca Park. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive offers.
Dave Cokin with John Lyons from Lyons Physical Therapy. So what are the most common injuries you see in your practice?
The primary injuries that we see are general neck and back pain. That's 100% the most frequent injuries we'll see. That can be anything from wear and tear, age-related injuries. We see a lot of work-related injuries where patients lift, bend, or twist the wrong way. These are also associated with car accidents. I would say secondarily, shoulder and knee injuries, anything sports-related or just everyday activities. Those would be the 4 main injuries that we see.
LionsPTLV.com, 702-476-0222.
What's hot today? It's time for the Wager Talk Marquee Matchup of the Night with Marco DAngelo. WagerTalk.com. Start winning now.
I was just going to do the, you know what day it is? From Geico, the cable commercial. Mike. But that's Wednesday.
That's Wednesday. Hump day.
Today it's Tuesday, which is actually even better because at WagerTalk.com, it's $2 Tuesday. And Brian Leonard, he hasn't lost a game at baseball yet.
I haven't either, but he's won 8 of them. He's won 8 in a row. I've only had 3 plays so far, so I got to catch up. But
he's on fire.
He's on fire, and you can get his American League Game of the Week for $2, Dave. It's an absolute no-brainer. And not only do you get Brian's play, but whenever you buy the $2 play, inside the pick with the analysis, you're going to get a bunch of different coupons to get other things. And you'll be able to get Brian for a longer-term package if you wanted a big discount tomorrow. There's a crossover today. I'm not sure who the crossover is.
I get emails. Might be Alex Smith with a hockey play.
Alex is the $2 guy at Sports
Memo.
Memo.
Okay, I
do know.
I was way off. Okay, but that's usually the case with me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You do.
So there's $2 sales available at both sites.
At both sites, we do it at our Wager Talk and our sister site, Sports Memo. And Alex is on a very good run with his hockey totals. He does very well, and he's got to play up tonight over there at Sports Memo.
I believe I read that for the season he's better than 60% on NHL totals. That's
you've read that correctly.
That's pretty good
for 2019. Yeah, it was for 2019. He's been pounding them, and I know he took advantage of that run as well with a lot of people here in town about those first period totals that everybody was making money with. Taking the overs on
Blackhawks over was like here.
Free money. It was like free money for 2 months.
That was like 24-2 or something like that.
It was insane. Which it got to the point where they just kept juicing it and juicing it.
Kept winning anyway.
And they finally, time I ever saw it, they put a 2 up. They put a 2 up for the first period, and they still got over.
Yeah. Texas and TCU matching up in the other NIT Final Four matchup tonight. And these two obviously know each other very well, both playing in the Big 12. And TCU won both regular season meetings. Will they be able to make it 3 in a row? The bettors seem to be favoring them to do that because, as we talked to Jeff, there's been more favored action in this basketball game tonight, at least at SuperBook USA.
Yeah, and Dave, you look at it, TCU, neither one of these teams had consistent seasons. That's why they're playing in the NIT.
I would say that they were disappointing to the point where there was some talk at Texas that Shaka Smart might actually be in trouble. That's a little premature, as it turns out, and I think getting to the Final Four of the NIT has alleviated that pressure. But we do know this. He'll go into next season on the hot seat.
He will, and I agree with you. This has got him back for next season. But I'll tell you what, Dave, looking at this one, I like TCU in this matchup. They've won 5 of their last 6 coming in. Now, obviously, Texas won 3 in a row. And again, they made sure they got some teams that they wanted to get to New York. They played all of their games at home, Texas did, to get here, as did TCU. I think TCU, the final 2 games, they played better teams. Nebraska was playing surprisingly well the last couple games after disappointing for a long, most of the season.
They were trying hard to send Tim Miles out on a winning note.
And so they were able to put them away comfortably. They won that game by 16 points. And then Creighton, a team that was, good at times this year, they beat them by 13. Colorado was really the only quality win that I give Texas. But Colorado, they're two-headed sword.
Yeah.
They're not good on the road. They were very good at home. So I think the road to New York was tougher for TCU. And then I'm going to give you a little intangible with Jamie Dixon. You know that, Jamie Dixon was the coach at Pitt for a long time. Jamie Dixon, when all those years when Pitt was in the Big East and playing, in the Big East thing, he always recruited well out of New York. He was got a lot of players from New York. He's got connections in New York, and every time they went to Madison Square Garden, that was almost like a homecoming for Jamie Dixon. And I think that gives him a little bit of an edge in this one. He'll have his team ready. And you know what? If you're a guy that hits the recruiting